Hi. One of the newer manufacturers that I've added to the Rubin & Company line card recently is PBB Architectural and ALREX. And that's what I'd like to talk to you about today. If you don't know who they are, I'm going to give you a brief introduction, tell you what they do, what makes them special, and if you heard of them, hopefully give you some information that you didn't know beforehand. So let's get into it. Who is PBB Architectural and ALREX? PBB Architectural was founded in 1987. Independently owned, family run and operated, and even though there's new ownership today, it is still independently owned and family run, and I love that. So PBB is a manufacturer of hinges, door hardware hinges, all different types of hinges. That is their specialty. That's what they do. Okay, they manufacture in China, but just listen to this. In the 90s, the owners decided to build their own factory in China, and that's what they did. I don't think it could be done today, but everything is controlled by them, design, manufacturing, everything. So that's really nice to hear. They have offices. Their headquarters is in California, I believe Michigan as well, and they stock warehouse in both locations. Now, who is ALREX? ALREX is another hinge manufacturer that PBB acquired a couple of years ago, but ALREX specializes in something very unique, hydraulic self-closing hinges. There's only a couple of manufacturers that are doing this. I believe it is new technology in the hinge and door closing world, and the combination of PBB and ALREX is already starting to look very powerful. Again, self-closing hydraulic hinges. I'll get into that in a little bit. When I first started talking with PBB about working with them, in my head it was a no-brainer. You know, I work with lock manufacturers, I work with access control manufacturers, door opening manufacturers, so everything that has to do with the door. Adding a hinge line, no-brainer, right? Well, once I started doing the research, it was a lot more than that. You know, I'm a rep started off in the security world, grew into door hardware, but security and life safety, that's my heart, right? And I didn't realize how important hinges, especially spring hinges, and now these hydraulic self-closing hinges are to life safety. When learning more and more about this, unfortunately, I got to read up on a lot of New York City tragic fires that have happened over the years. And a lot of times, a lot of the deaths could have been prevented if a door closed like it's supposed to do. Okay. Now, we all know that there's the door closers. And a lot of times manufacturers use spring hinges, right? And they're fantastic. PBB has spring hinges. I'm going to show you something in a minute. And these are meant to close the door to prevent smoke and to prevent airways and keep the fire where it is. Almost every article that I was reading, when it talked about deaths in smoke inhalation, a lot of that had to do with stairwell and apartment doors that didn't close their doors. And all these doors should be self-closing. Okay, so I'm going to show you something right now. This is one of the hinges that PBB sent to me. It's absolutely gorgeous. You can tell very well made. They do OEMs as well, so they can grave anything that you want, different colors, all that. So this is a standard hinge, but they sent me their spring that they use, okay? And I'm bringing this up because I think this is an extremely important point, right? So this looks like a hinge, it's a spring. It's very hard to tell, but if I get this close enough, you may be able to see that the actual metal coil that makes this spring is squared. Nobody else does that, okay? Picture this as a long piece of metal, and then they coil it up to make the spring. Every single other manufacturer uses a round metal coil. They use a square. Why is that important? Well, if you think about this being in here, and now, over the years, this is doing this, okay? This spring will eventually erode or something will go wrong with it, and most of the time when it does fault, it rolls over on itself. It gets smaller and it can roll over on itself. Well, using square hinge springs prevents that because of the edges. It won't be able to go. So I learned that and I thought, wow, that is an extremely important feature when adding a hinge to a door that's going to be going on an apartment building, because you want those spring hinges to self-close almost every time, and it's very important. Now let me briefly switch over to ALREX hydraulic self-closing hinges. So I just talked to you about PBB's spring self-closing hinges, hydraulic hinges now. So let's picture if this is ALREX self-closing hinge, half of it would be spring, the other half would be the hydraulic technology in it. All field adjustable. And what does the hydraulic self-closing hinge allow you to do? It allows you to control the speed of the door closing. It allows you to control the latching speed of the door. It's really more about more control over how that door is closing rather than just let's try and get that door to close. So what are some areas that the ALREX self-closing hydraulic hinges will be used? Well, anytime that there's a door closing issue, maybe it's a rough area, a school or something where they've replaced the door closer several times, you can take that out completely and just use the hydraulic self-closing hinges. But another area would be, let's say, a luxury hotel. All the hotel rooms have that big door closer box on top of the door. The interior decorators and designers of these hotels don't want that. So ALREX actually makes concealed hydraulic self-closing hinges. You can see one behind me right there. But they also make these in floor closers for glass, for wood, for all different types of doors. But there's a lot of different ways that you can skin this cat. So you're going to be seeing a lot more from me when it comes to ALREX and PBB and their products. Believe me, this is what they do. They're not just a manufacturer and this is one of their products. This is what they make. This is what they specialize in. I'm going to be working with architects, specifiers, distributors, locksmiths, security integrators of all types, because they have so many different types of hinges that are used for different types of doors, and they also have many types of hinges that are specifically used to fix a door. If there's a problem with the door, how it's closing, they usually have a fix for it. So keep in the lookout for more from me, but if you have any questions, please reach out. PBB and ALREX. Let's talk about hinges. Take care.